Good afternoon, RGEA members and guests. Welcome to today's webinar, AI for Everyday Tasks. Some of you may have been privileged to some of the conversation earlier, but this webinar is being presented by Dr. Lane Freeman. He is the Director of Online Learning at the North Carolina Community College System, and his office is out of Edgecombe Community College, I believe. And he is also the AI prompt engineer. He'll tell you more about that later. Don't get scared about that title. And Lane, you've been at the NC Community Colleges for how long?
4 years now.
4 years now. And he's doing a great job. He came highly recommended, so we're all excited about his presentation today. My name is Daryl Davis Fulmer, and I'm excited to serve as your host today. I also want to thank Tracy Eubanks for her technical support. Lane will tell you more about his background as he talks today. I tried to go to AI a few moments ago, and it was too quick, and I had to get off. But we can find a lot of information using AI about just about anybody we want to know. So today we're also joined by our executive director, Tim O'Connell, who will share some brief association updates. And we're joined by Mr. Jackson Cozart, who is our government relations staff. However, before Tim comes forth, here are a few things you should know. Each of you has been muted to help ensure the presenters or the presenter can be heard. The presentation is being recorded. We will send you the link to the recording along with the PowerPoint in our follow-up email. For those of you who have sent questions, we submitted them to Lane, and many have been incorporated in his discussion today. However, if you think of a question during the presentation, please use the Q&A button at the bottom of your Zoom page, and questions will be answered during the Q&A period. If not, before that time, we can answer them during the presentation. So without further ado, here is Tim, RGEA's Executive Director.
All right. Thank you, Daryl. Thank you so much. Well, I just want to begin by saying thank you. Thank you for being here today, and thank you for being a member of RGEA. We are so fortunate to have you, and I cannot tell you what an honor and a privilege it is to come to work every day and serve those who serve North Carolina and the local governments so long and so well. So it is an absolute honor to work for you all. We love doing programs like this, and especially this one is we are all so fascinated by this. It's just, I'd say it's like a child crawling, but quickly learning to run. And I cannot wait to hear Dr. Freeman's presentation on this. One thing I do want to share with you is kind of what is important right now. What is important is two areas. One is with the legislature. I'm going to let Jackson share a little bit more on that, but know that even as they are taking breaks, we are still working. So that's the big headline on that. And on local government, there's a lot of things going on right now with pension formula changes, and we are staying attuned to that as well. And I will have more to share on that when those findings are released. But just want you to know we're working on both fronts for state and local simultaneously, just like it's baseball and football season right now. We're in the middle of both those seasons and working for you. If you have any questions for me, I'm going to drop my email in the link. Just send it right to me. I've got one of the easiest emails. It's tim@rga.info. But any questions you have for me, specifically, just pop them to that email. Daryl's also going to share a little bit how you can ask questions here using the Q&A, and I'll be on that as well, answering any of your questions as needed related to RGA. I'm going to let anything AI go right to Dr. Freeman. So, Jackson, I'm going to hand it off to you now. Can you give us the truth from the legislature and beyond?
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you, Tim, and thank you, everybody. I'm excited to be here. And sadly, I will be brief because there is not a whole lot to update right now. The House and the Senate, although they have large majorities in the same party, the House and the Senate still cannot seem to get along and put together a final budget. They came in for a week in July to do veto overrides. The governor had vetoed a little over a dozen bills, and they came in for a week of July to override those vetoes. They did pass what was what they call a mini budget, which took care of some very non-controversial items, but everything controversial they can't seem to get along right now. And the big sticking points between the House and the Senate, even though they're both controlled by the same party, are the tax package, the teacher raises, state employee raises, and the retiree teasers bonus. If you remember, the House version of the budget gave us a 3% bonus over 2 years, and the Senate version of the budget gave retirees, the teasers, absolutely nothing. So we are going to continue to support the House version of the budget. They came in July. They were supposed to come back at the end of August. They did not because they hadn't made any headway. And they've kicked the can down until the end of September. So whether they come back in September or not, time will tell. But like Tim said, we're going to continue to work for all of you, both teasers and Elders, whether they come in or not. But sadly, that's all I have to update right now. But so Daryl, I will kick it back to you.
All right. Thank you, Jackson. Thank you, Tim, for those quick updates. We really appreciate them. And now, Lane, it's your turn. We are excited to hear about AI and learn more about how to use it for everyday tasks.
Thank you,
Take it away.
Daryl.
You're
Appreciate
welcome.
it. Again, I thank you all for the invitation to join you all today. And I'm going to go over some AI tools and tips and tricks. I'm going to give you a little peek into the future on what AI is doing and what it's capable of. But I'm also hopefully that at the end of the session, you'll have some things that kind of inspire you to make you want to play around with AI if you haven't already, to give you some ideas on how it can make your life easier. Also add a voice to you and how you can advocate for yourself in many ways using AI and be able to walk into a conversation confident that you know at least a little bit what you're talking about. So one of the things I always try to stay consistent with in my presentations is all the images I create I use AI to do those. And so you can see this image here, just takes a little bit of, you can actually type in a simple prompt if you can think of it in your head and describe it. I just described the family sitting together with an AI being pointing towards a meal, and it created several images, and I get to pick one I get to choose from, and I can describe if I wanted that to be two grand boys or two grand girls, I could have done that. And so there's a lot of things you can do with AI and just having fun and creating images, and I'll give you some more inspirations a little later. As Daryl mentioned, I'll give a little bit of intro myself, and I don't know if you can tell this or not, but this image is also AI generated. I uploaded my profile picture and I asked it to put me in a nice suit and give me like a college background to it. And what I try to do is hide this type of image from my wife because I don't want to raise the bar for myself too high, but it did change my eye color a little bit. But anyway, I'm happy with it. But one of the things that I did when I created this image is something when I go into ChatGPT, I'll instead of just saying, put a suit on me, I asked ChatGPT, what are the 5 most popular suits? And then I'm able to pick which suit I want and be able to put it on my profile picture. Well, part of why I share that is because when you write a prompt in AI, it's really important to add context to it. So when I typed in, give me the 5 most popular suits, it did give me 5 suits that you can wear, but it also gave me 5 lawsuits. And so I wasn't really clear on my profile. So my prompt. So when you're writing a prompt, the more context you can add to it, the better. So you can say, I am this age. I am trying to apply for this. I've been working with I'm a retired employee at the state level or in North Carolina. Given all that context, is going to make your outputs a lot better. Now, the more you practice this, the better you'll get at it. And that's why I play with it so much. I subscribe to the ChatGPT just because I use it so much. I also subscribe to a couple other that I play with, and I'll try to give you some exposure to a lot of those. Most popular are like Copilot, Gemini, which is Google's, Grok is another. But another example of kind of how I have fun with this is I uploaded my profile picture and I wanted to see what I would look like if I were at Yellowstone. And so I've got a picture of me at Yellowstone. I also kind of created a historical tree of what my ancestors might have would look like. And obviously they look very similar to what I look like because I used AI to create it. But just for fun, I did that. And so I'm hoping to show you some tips today. So this is ChatGPT. Really, any of the large language models that you use are going to do about the same thing. And they all typically range, if you want to pay for one, about $20 a month. And I pay the $20 a month because I think of it as an intern. And if you had to hire an intern to do a lot of the paperwork for you, and this is to help you manage bills, to help you come up with meal plans, to help appeal letters or whatever, you don't want to run out of chat during those times. And if I were to pay an intern or someone else to do the work for me, I would be paying a lot more than just $20 a month. So that's how I justify it. And I didn't really talk about myself much, but I have lived in Edgecombe County for over, well, good Lord, I'm 47 years old. So I've lived in Edgecombe County for 47 years. I've been in the state system for 25 years. Was taught at the high school level at Tarboro High School in Edgecombe County for 12 years. And then I was at Nash Community College. But now, as Daryl mentioned, I'm at the North Carolina Community College System office, really kind of spreading how does AI impact education. And so one of the things, again, when I talk to faculty and staff and employees or workforce is to talk to it like it's an intern. So as we're in this chat screen, a lot of the large language models will allow you an opportunity to customize some of that information about yourself. So if I go down to my profile picture and go to customize ChatGPT, it asks me what do I want to be called, and that way it knows me. So when it talks to me, it'll say, "Hey, Lane, how are you doing?" I tell it what I do. You can tell it anything about what your hobbies are, what your interests are, and it's going to be able to help you out there. But even before the call started, we were talking with Jackson and the group, and a lot of us have named our ChatGPT as kind of that companion. And I named mine way back, and I can't change it now because it's kind of set, and I would actually feel like I'm breaking up with someone. So your name, I put in here, your name is Lorraine Boucher. You're the daughter of the fictitious characters, Bobby Boucher and Vicky Valancourt from the comedy Classic Waterboy. So now chat kind of takes on that personality for me. Some people go to chat and ask what names would be popular and what do you want to choose from, but you can, in here, you can kind of customize some things you want it to know about you. And without even knowing, sometimes it'll make some of those recommendations for you. But I even went as far as to create an image of Lorraine Boucher using ChatGPT. And so this is what Lorraine would look like. So I actually asked it to create an image of Bobby Boucher and then a picture of Vicky Valancourt. And then what would that daughter look like if she were 25 years old and working at a desk? And I also uploaded this so it could add some motion. So you can, within ChatGPT, there's a program called Sora, Sora, and you can upload a picture and add motion to it. And so I got her smiling and grinning at the camera. And for fun, we'll let Lorraine introduce herself as well. So I'm going to bring up ChatGPT over here, and everything I'm doing on the desktop, there's typically an app for it to download. Just be careful when you're downloading the apps that you pay close attention to how much user and who it is. So like Microsoft Reliable, Google, OpenAI has ChatGPT. So if you go to an app store and you say download ChatGPT, you'll see a lot of apps. Don't always pick just the first app. Look for the one that has a reputable name and has a good terms of service, because you don't want to, typically if you're not paying for a product, you are the product. And that's why Facebook is free, because they're using your information. So programs like ChatGPT, they may use it to help improve their training, but they're not really selling your data, because that's not what they're intended to do. But I'm going to click on this little voice mode. And so this is where people often will become kind of friends. So if you're home by yourself and you want some, I was talking to someone yesterday that said their 90-year-old mother was using ChatGPT, or actually using Copilot as a friend to help them garden. And so she would actually, hey, Copilot, how are you doing this? So I'm going to turn on Lorraine. Hey, Lorraine, how are you doing today? Would you mind introducing yourself to the great state of North Carolina retirees?
Hey there, absolutely. I'd be happy to. So I'm here as Lorraine. Just think of me as your friendly virtual assistant. I help out Lane with all sorts of tasks, especially around integrating technology and education. And of course, I'm always glad to say a warm hello to retirees in North Carolina.
Thank you, Lorraine. Would you mind translating that into Spanish, please?
Claro, sin problem. Here goes. Hi, everyone. Encanted to salute you. I'm here as Lorraine. So just think of me as your friendly virtual assistant.
Lorraine,
I help Lane with
I need you to translate that into Spanish for me, please.
absolutely. Here it is in Spanish. Hola a todos. Encantada de saludarlos. Estoy aquí como Lorraine. Así que piensen en mí como su asistente virtual de confianza.
Okay, so during that conversation, you'll notice that she didn't do what I asked for the first time, but you need to know that she can do that. And so, again, an intern might misinterpret your direction sometimes, and so you have to clarify what you want them to do. You'll notice also it transcribed everything here for me. And so if I wanted to send a message to someone, I could just copy and paste. And it's pretty accurate it's even better than Google Translate. One way you can use this as well is if you have your phone with you and you're at a place or you're traveling out of country, you can use AI to be your translator. And so I could say, Lorraine, every time you hear English, speak Italian. Anytime you hear Italian, speak back to English. And so it would be that live translator. Will it miss some words or whatever? It might, but it at least gets you through what you're trying to do. And so one other thing I always like to show with Lorraine is that she's, again, an intern. She's not always going to get things right. And you have to remember that just because AI tells you something doesn't mean it's true. So I'm going to go to Lorraine again. Lorraine, how many R's are in the word strawberry?
In the word strawberry, there are 2 R's.
Are you sure there are only 2 R's in strawberry? Lorraine, are you sure? She's thinking. So she's not even sure about that. So the reason I kind of do that demonstration is you've always got to remember to fact check what it tells you. If it tells you that you can go and use this on your tax deduction, always check back with your accountant first. It's good to give you tips. It's good to give you questions you can ask, but you still want to keep that human in the loop to make sure that what it's telling you is the right information, because it does, the technical term is hallucinations. It does make some things up. And the more advanced models hallucinate less, but still they can point you in the right direction. So one other thing I really like doing with chat, and I've done this recently, is this is Google's Gemini tool. And again, I think this is completely free. Again, if the more you want to use it, the more you can pay like $20 a month. But when I was at a family retreat, a family reunion, I wanted to use AI to bring to life a picture that I had for a long time that the family had. So what you see here is an old family photo. That's my grandmother and the aunt that I've never met. And I'm just going to ask Gemini to make this look more modern. Hey there, Flash. I would like for you to colorize this old photo as if it were taken with a digital camera in the year 2025. If you see any type of wrinkles in the photo, I would like for you to remove that as well. So again, I want you to, I get to where I talk to it just as much as I type to it. So if I'm working, sometimes I type, but sometimes I can just download what I'm thinking and my thoughts, and I can get a lot more across and just talking to it. And so just in a few seconds, what you're going to see is it take this old family photo and it brings it to color. It added some life and so forth. Now, the other thing I did with that image is I uploaded it to another program. So Grok Imagine, just I wanted to give you different exposure to different tools, is I took that same picture and uploaded it, and I was able to add motion to it. So now I can see my grandmother walking while she's holding my Aunt Patty at the time. So this is a family photo of myself and my 2 teenage boys, my dad and my mom and my wife. And we were at a Christmas party. So I took a family photo, and I went over to chat and I said, create an animation style image of my family, and put Granny's Gang on it. And then it did that. And then I brought it over to a t-shirt, which was in Canva, but there's lots of other programs out there that will do that for you. And then I had the perfect Mother's Day gift to be able to give my mother with her family, kind of in a cartoon style. And so really start thinking about Christmas. You'll get to play around with AI a lot and come up with some really creative things that you can create for your Christmas presents. One thing I also was able to share, and if you've got grandkids or you've got little ones running around, Google Gemini Storybook is a really cool tool as well. So as I was talking to Daryl in preparation for this, we decided that it would be cool to create a storybook about someone who was nervous about retiring. And by just simply entering a prompt, I was able to create
Oliver's golden chapter.
a coloring.
Retirement isn't the end of the story. Oliver the owl hooted softly from his branch. Oliver watched as his friend Arthur set down a heavy-looking briefcase. Putting away your work is like putting down The next morning, Oliver visited his friend Eleanor.
So if you have grandkids and they're like scared about going to the dentist the next morning, and you wanted to go to Google Book, you could say, what is your favorite stuffed animal? And then take that animal and have Gemini Storybook create a storybook that helps them ease into that transition of going to a doctor. Sometimes a children's book can be a lot more effective than just using you trying to console them in some other way. So another little fun thing I did was, and this is one of those tools that I like to play with AI as well, is I was at the hotel in Wilmington and I took a video of the battleship, and I decided to ask AI to create a dragon that will be flying and attacking that battleship. So I had AI generate the dragon, and then I clicked, and then you can see it burst into flames and so forth. And just for fun, I had it walk into the bathroom and there was a monkey sitting on the toilet. Obviously, that's an AI generated monkey, but just having some fun with AI. Again, when you're doing these things and learning how to do it, the more you practice prompting, even having fun, the more you'll have, when it comes to a serious time, you're able to get the questions and answers that you want. Another really cool tool that just came out a couple months ago is called Google's VO3. It creates about 8-second video clips, but you can really see that it matches. It has as I wrote a prompt, create a video clip of a Continental Army soldier at Victory of Yorktown. He's holding a selfie stick and he's just celebrating that win. So I'm going to press play so you can hear what he actually says. And all I did was enter this prompt. It created the background video, it created the voice and everything.
Yo, it's official. It's a wrap, Redcoats. Cornwallis just threw in the towel. We out here at Yorktown, and freedom's never looked so good. Let's go!
So I created that myself, but there was another one that I really liked.
Yo, it's
that I thought was hilarious. And someone else took time and took parts of the Old Testament and made videos with those. But they used Gen Z language to do it. And so here's an example of a video someone created talking about the Old Testament.
What's good, fam? Your boy David here, about to yeet this little stone at Goliath and see what happens. Okay, so I told y'all to trust the process, but no, y'all wanted to stay in Egypt stacking bricks. Yo, it's Shadrach. This random dude just showed up. It's getting lit in here.
I got the horses in the back. Horse tack is attached. Hat is matte black. Got the boots that's black to match.
Day 2 in the tomb. No Wi-Fi, no snacks. Just kind of waiting for God to respawn me.
You know I'm a daddy's boy. He's got me in this Technicolor drip. Brother's so jelly right now. They're looking a little sus.
So again, that's just fun, but you can't really tell those are AI characters. The voices match, the people are looking, they look real. And so that's a lot of fun as well. If you are trying to create videos to promote, like let's say you got a business afterwards, I used AI to create AI avatars.
Ladies and gentlemen,
and
prepare to have.
But I was able to pick the person I wanted and was able to get them to say exactly what I wanted, which is kind of funny because
your mind's blown. Because I'm about to introduce you to a name that stands synonymous with brilliance, innovation, and downright educational greatness. Dr. Lane Freeman.
Thank you.
If you haven't heard of Dr. Lane Freeman yet, let me assure you, This man is a living legend.
Okay.
We're talking
Don't
about
even
someone
hear all
who
that
doesn't
stuff
just
where she's
change the
talking
game.
really good about me. As you can tell, I wrote the script for that.
He-
But what I also can do is take myself and train AI on my body language and convert it to several different languages. I think I have 40 languages I can pick from. I think it's
大家下午好，我是莱恩使用人工智能创建的化身，我很高兴欢迎大家来到卡拉韦会议中心和我一起。这次会议汇集了来自全州的一群才华横溢的职业。
So again, I was able to do a promotion for a conference that I was having using AI. So I could type all that in and put the animations in there myself. But when you start with AI, I want you to keep a couple things in mind, because I talk about a lot of the pros, but you do need to protect your personal information. And so if you are going to ask AI about some doctor information, just leave your personal information, or if you're asking for a family member, again, leave their information out of it. I always make an assumption that if it's in a digital world, it can be made public at some point. And so even with ChatGPT and Copilot and Gemini that may say they're protecting your information, I never trust that stuff. So I usually leave that information out if it's really personal. Again, remember, AI hallucinates. It's always keep your human in the loop. If it gives you some doctor advice, it usually will say, please advise with your doctor, and you really need to do that. And maintain digital citizenship. And I don't think this crowd has to worry about it too much, but AI can be used in ways that are not friendly. So if you were to hear of you've heard a lot, probably, stories in the news where people use AI voices to simulate someone else. I heard where a high school student actually used his dad's voice and trained AI on it, and then he would have it call into school every day about noon to have him signed out. And so that was kind of funny, but there's other scenarios where a mother gets a call from her alleged daughter that's not really her daughter, asking her to come pick her up. She's broke down. And so one of the things we do as a family is we have kind of a family password that if someone calls and is in danger, they also have to say the password, something that AI wouldn't know. So just keep that in mind. If you haven't figured it out yet, just because you see it doesn't mean it's real. Just because you hear it doesn't mean it's real. Definitely, if you read it, it doesn't mean it's real. So I always want to fact check your sources and double and make sure those things are accurate. One of the other things that ChatGPT and all these language models can do is do some research for you. So if I wanted to ask Chat, I say, tell me about RGA and how it supports retired employees in North Carolina. So I put retired employees in North Carolina because there may be another organization out there called RGEA. I don't know. But I wanted to make sure I included retired employees in North Carolina when I did that. So now ChatGPT is going to go and find out as much information. Sometimes it searches the web, as you can see it's doing now. Sometimes it will answer questions on its training. The benefit behind its training is it's more reliable sources. The benefit behind it searching the web, it might get more information that's updated, but it also gives you the citations of where it's getting information. And as you can see, it got something from Facebook. It looks like RGA's official Facebook page, so that's okay. But just because it comes from Facebook doesn't also mean it's true as well. So it gives me all these member benefits, insurance options, and you can actually say, well, dental insurance. I am a retired employee. How can it help with dental insurance? So now it's going to break down. Again, it's giving me some ideas and questions. And so I could actually say, give me 5 questions to ask when I call Tim, who is the CEO. And again, the choice plan, the freedom plan, it's got prices there. They may be accurate, but they may not be, because it may not be updated as much. So if I ask for 5 questions to ask, this helps me and have those questions ready as I look at those types of information. What are the top legislative priorities for RGA to protect enhanced retiree benefits? And so it gives you questions, and I could even say draft an email to Tim about 1. And so now maybe I should have said draft to Jackson, but you can see it's asking for a longer answer, which means it's thinking. It didn't take long to think. So it gives you a draft email. You would want to go in there and make sure the language is right and actually asking the questions you want. But most of these platforms have a way to go and choose different things. So right now I'm on auto. You can do instant where it gets your answer really quickly. If you do that, it's more likely to make facts up. If you do thinking, it will actually think harder and it fact checks itself a little bit. So let's move on to some other practical. Oh, and I could actually say act as a country artist and write a country song about all the benefits of RGEA. And so it's going to take that chat thread and take information from it, and RGEA's got your back. And it's going to talk about all the things that RGEA does, but it does in a real fun kind of way. And so this is, again, if you think of things you want to remember or whatever, you can convert them to a songs and lyrics, and it comes up with the songs for you. And also notice I didn't have to really tell it about all this information. It reads everything in that chat. Now, if I start a new chat, it's not going to remember, it doesn't remember this conversation. And so what I have to re-prompt it again. If I just asked it to write a country song, would it, and I didn't start, and I started in the chat, it would write a random country song about something else. So thought it would be fun to kind of, what would that sound like if actually AI would sing it? So I took it to a program called suno.com, and I had it write a song about RGA, and then I put it to a country music. So I'm gonna let you listen to a little bit of that country music so you can hear it. Suno has an app as well, and it can be a lot of fun just to create songs. I've done it for birthdays and other things as well.
Hung up my badge on a Friday night. Took a long sip of that sweet sunlight. Come Monday morning, I was still on call for grandbabies fishing and front porch draw. Then the phone rang friendly like family. Welcome to RGEA, ride with me. Said we'll watch your back down on Jones Street. So kick up your boots and tap your feet. 'Cause retirement ain't the end of the line. It's a wide open road and the weather is fine. They fight for your COLAs, keep your pension strong. Shine a light and rally when the days get long. From the Blue Ridge Pines to the salty sea breeze, RGEA keeps life rolling with these. Yeah, retirement's not an ending thing, it's just the beginning. Hear that freedom ring.
So I won't play the entire song, but you also can see I've got a gospel version. You can go and ask for any type of style of music you want, and it will create those songs for you. You can't copyright songs that are generated by AI, but you can use them. I couldn't publish this and want to sell it. Somebody else could use it as well. So just also keep that in mind. I also have seen lately on YouTube where it will have 2 popular artists singing a song that was allegedly by them, but it wasn't them. And I'm hoping YouTube kind of cracks down on that, because I don't want it to mimic, try to pretend to be somebody they're not. But just because you see someone singing a song that traditionally isn't them singing it, it might be AI. But one of the things, I sit back in the media room at my church, and sometimes I'll get the pastor's notes before the sermon, and I'll use AI to generate a song as people are walking, kind of match the theme of that.
Brothers.
Randy Travis is a good example of someone who used this technology. Randy Travis had a stroke several years ago. He was able to write a song called Where That Came From. And he brought in his musicians. He used their lyric. He wrote the lyrics, but they all played it, but they trained AI on his voice. And so you can look up Randy Travis's Where That Come From, and you can hear his voice like it sounds, but you can also see the smile on his face when he actually gets to hear his song come back to life because he can't sing anymore. AI is making a big impact on the workforce. I kind of mentioned this just because this shows you how much you can use it. 75% of knowledge workers say they use AI in daily tasks. 66% of employers prefer candidates with AI skills. And so that's a biggie. You also can see in these light green dots how long it takes to complete a task using AI. But if you see the blue dots, that same task takes about, on average, around 60 minutes longer. And so you will want to make sure that you go to AI and ask from time to time what it can do for you. And then let's look at a couple cases where you could use it. So let's say that you wanted a meal plan. And it's hard for you maybe because you were just maybe diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. And so you could go into ChatGPT. And actually, I'm going to copy this prompt here to save a little time. And I'll go into ChatGPT and I'll start a new chat. And I told it to act as a nutritionist because it's important to give it a role. Say, act as a nutritionist. I'm a retired person with type 2 diabetes. I want a weekly meal plan. Please include breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And so I wrote that prompt. I kick in and hit submit. And now it's going to give me a weekly plan on what I could eat each day. And I could go through and say, you know what? I don't like Tuesdays because I don't like yogurt. And so I could say, I don't like yogurt. Is there another option for Tuesday? And the cool thing about when you're writing a ChatGPT, you don't have to worry about spelling things right, capitalizing right, because it really doesn't really care because it's AI. But then they give you an alternative. So Tuesday breakfast, it gives me an alternative. All right, so Monday, let's say they want me to do turkey and cheese. I can say, I want Monday's lunch. Create a Walmart pickup list in table format so I'll know what to get at the grocery store. And so now it's going to, while we're in that same chat, it's going to say, here are the things you need. You need 6 to 8 slices. You need 2 slices of cheese. And so it gives you a really quick way to do that. And then I could say, I have the supplies. Give me step-by-step directions on how to prepare. And again, while you're in this conversation, let's say you have this conversation today and tomorrow you want to get, Thursday's meal plan, you just come back to the same conversation and it will do that for you. And while it's doing that, I can share one more way that I kind of used the ChatGPT for my father. So if I go to here, when you write a prompt, you want to remember rice. You want to give it a role. You want to give it instructions. You want to provide context, and then you want to provide constraints. And so my father was a military veteran. He was in the Air Force for 4 years, and he applied for VA benefits for hearing loss, and it was denied. He got some of the other things, but not hearing loss. And none of the lawyers really wanted to work with that. And so what I did was I asked AI to act as a veteran benefits lawyer who specializes in VA disability appeals with experience in writing persuasive appeals. So then I brought the information in. I brought context. He served for 4 years in the flight line in the Air Force. Keep the letter under 500 words and write a formal professional legal language appropriate for a government regulatory audience. And it wrote just a beautiful letter that gave me all types of laws that I didn't know about, some of the things that VAs have access that I didn't know about. And I was able to appeal that letter and get his 10% disability for hearing loss by just using ChatGPT. And so if you come up with situations, it's a great way to do it. AI is. And so Facebook Marketplace, if you ever want to sell something, you can take a picture because AI can see. You can take a picture of something and say, I'm trying to sell this. I want to sell it for $150, write the marketplace ad. On the other hand, if you were going to buy something on Marketplace, you could take screenshots of it or upload a picture of it, give it the description and say, is this a fair price for what they're asking? And it'll do research on whether or not it's an accurate price. And it will give you questions to ask when you call in. So some of the most popular large language platforms are like chat.com, Gemini, Grok. If you're in google.com, if you go to Google now, you'll see an AI mode that you can click on, and that will bring up Gemini. And so that's one way you can use that. And then I will show a couple more examples, and then we'll go to Q&A. So you can, let's say you get a diagnosis and your doctor, again, your doctors usually only have about 30 minutes with you. So sometimes if you get a diagnosis, you can go to AI and say, act as a medical research assistant. My doctor told me I might have arthritis in my hands. Please explain what it means and typical treatment options. And that's going to give you a conversation and stuff you can read on your own. And then again, you can say, give me 5 questions that I should ask my doctor the next time we talk. So when you get into that room, you have a really good conversation with the doctor, and you're letting AI kind of inform you on whatever diagnosis you have. And then you have the right questions to ask when you get there. And sometimes AI can do some research on other ideas, that's some treatments out there that aren't that popular. And then you can ask your doctor, is this really an option that we could use to do that? And then this is one of the favorites. So you could say, act as a travel agent. Again, being from Eastern North Carolina, I love going down to the waters on the Albemarle Sound. This is Edenton here. And you could say, act as a travel agent. Again, assign it a role because it makes the answers better. I want to plan a 3-day trip to Edenton, North Carolina. Suggest a daily itinerary that includes local history, waterfront, and you can read the rest of the details. So I think I might have time just to see what AI would give me if I asked that question. And I'm going to copy and paste that prompt into a new chat because I don't want to do it in that same chat I was just in because I need a new intern to answer this question. I don't want to mix my travel plans with my meal plans. And so I'm going to click on this. It's probably going to do some research. It didn't I copied the wrong question. But you can see what arthritis is now. So I'm going to start a new chat. Paste. Here's the 3-day itinerary for Edenton, North Carolina. Morning, check in at the B&B Governor's House. Take a leisurely walk down Edenton's historic district. And so you can go not just to Edenton, but anywhere you plan to go. It could be a international trip to whatever, and it can give you an idea and at least a starting point on somewhere you've never been before, and you can have that conversation with it on getting those ideas. So I think my time is up, and I can look at some Q&A and see if I can't answer some questions for my audience here.
So, Lane, thank you so very much. I think one of the first questions to answer, some folks have been concerned about AI taking the jobs away from interns, from graphic artists, and from people who can actually think about things. So could you address that? I think that's a crucial
Absolutely
question for our folks.
So Typically one of the things I like to share is that AI is really good at some of the tasks within jobs, but they're not really good at jobs holistically. If you think about what a graphic artist does, yeah, they know a good image when they see one, but they got to know their area well enough to know what questions to ask AI. Like if you're a professional photographer, for an example, if you know the lens rate, if you know the shutter speed, you know all that technical terminology, you can put in that your prompt to help you get along. It will be disruptive to some industries, but those people who know their area well enough are going to still be good because they have to be able to know how to prompt AI. And then once they see something, to know whether or not it needs to be tweaked. But we also, as humans, anytime we see technology like this come along, we can't foresee the jobs that are going to be created as a result of that. I mean, there's plenty of examples in history when the railroads came across. What are the horses going to do? I mean, there's actually go to the chat and ask, where have we seen technology disruptions and where people feared job loss, what jobs were created as a result? And so AI will do some disruptions, but it will also create other opportunities, especially right now for small business owners who aren't able to hire a full-time accountant and just need to be able to know what questions to ask, how I set up an LLC in North Carolina, how do I do simple tasks. So it really is going to help you do some of those things, while also it is going to empower some people in some fields of technology, or as they call them, knowledge workers.
Yes. So I can help you with these questions if you like.
Yeah. I need to pull up the questions.
Okay, so the first one that I see on my screen is, if you provide too much personal information to AI, will it be saved and shared publicly at another date?
So again, what I try to do is, if I'm going to give it some information, I might put John Doe as the name. I might come up with some random names. They say they're not going to be using it, but there's a chance they could. And like ChatGPT, for an example, just came out, was talking about how if you go talk to a therapist, that's protected. And that conversation that you have with a therapist is protected. If you go to ChatGPT and have ChatGPT act as a therapist, first of all, it's probably not a good idea, because Chat's going to be really like telling you a lot of good things about yourself. And that may be true, but sometimes a therapist will tell you something you don't want to hear to have that aha moment. But if the courts decide to subpoena a therapist, you're protected. But if the courts wanted to subpoena ChatGPT, they would get access to those chats. So just be careful what you share in those areas.
Okay, so when you use your photo or a picture of your house, say, for ChatGPT or any of the AI platforms, are the photos stored or are they erased?
So when I upload an image of myself, for an example, and the reason I feel comfortable doing that is because my image is already out there. But when it creates images on its own, there is a library that it keeps, so you can go back to them. But taking a picture of your house, like I can see what my house looks like using Google Street right now. So I'm not too concerned about that. But again, I wouldn't want to, I mean, the digital citizenship thing again, I'm not going to put pictures of children in there. And as a matter of fact, if you try to put pictures of children, sometimes it'll say that's against its guidelines, but there's other AI things that will do it. And so you do have to look at a whole nother level of security. The scammers are getting a lot better now because of AI. So they're using AI to send you information that looks really, really legit, because they've done some research on you using AI, and then they know how to scam you better using AI. So always, if you get a text or you get an email, always talk to somebody else to say, do you think this is legit? I've even asked AI, is this legit, in a different conversation? And it will do some research. Again, I wouldn't just trust AI, but I would go to a human at some point. My mother and my father, I handle a lot of their medical stuff and their finances. And I've asked them, anytime they get a call or a letter, let's just run it by me first to make sure it looks legit.
Okay. So there's another question, I believe, because you used the term intern, that there's a concern about student interns having no job opportunities because of AI. If you want to just reiterate
Yeah, I
that.
think if you student interns are still going to have that job, but even more so if that student intern knows how to use AI, and that's where the saying comes from: AI is not going to replace you, but someone using AI will. So if the student intern doesn't know how to use AI, then and that's part of what I'm doing at the community college system is trying to make sure that our students get through their community college programs understanding how to use AI, but also understanding their content. So when they do get hired as a student intern, that they'll be more proficient, their quality increases, they're able to do more tasks. And so it does still provide those opportunities, but it just makes them a lot more efficient in their jobs. Because I do believe that human connections is still very valuable. Even with the music generation, some people are scared that when it creates music, it's going to take over the industry. But typically, you go to a concert because you want to be with people. You love the musician. You want to be able to hear what they're saying. It's being with people that's important. And so I don't see AI really hitting off. Matter of fact, I don't know if this is true for most, but I hear it is that teenagers right now, my teenage boys, when they hear AI music, they get kind of turned off because they know it's not real. They're looking for something that's really authentic. And I think that's something that's in our human nature that we're looking for authenticity. And when we know something that is an artist's work, or if you think about the Mona Lisa, if the Mona Lisa never existed and it was just created today by AI, it would not be hanging up in France right now because there's no story behind the Mona Lisa if AI generated it. So it's always that human story behind things that gives us as humans that connection to it.
Thank you so much for that. Let me see. Let me go to the one that says, is Copilot as good as Gemini or Chat GPT?
In my opinion, at this point, Copilot is a little bit behind. Copilot actually uses ChatGPT 4's servers, and well, actually, ChatGPT uses Microsoft servers. But Copilot, I think, because and for good reason, they're really protective of information, and so they're slower to release how much it can do and what it can do. Copilot can create images, it can search the web, but usually it's not the latest technology. But probably in 6 months, Copilot will be good as ChatGPT is today. It seems to go in that direction.
Okay. There's a few questions about how do I upload a photo on AI? How do you set up an AI profile?
Yeah, so
Uh, Go
I'm
ahead.
looking at those chats a little bit. So
Yeah.
under customized chat GPTs where I did it, it depends on what platform you're using. You can add that information under somewhere. It's usually hidden in the settings. The other thing is about the phone apps are really easy to use, and I
Mm-hmm.
use them just as much as I use the computer because if I'm on the road, I can just instead of typing a text, I can say, "Can you draft a text message to so and so that says this and this," and then I hit submit, and then it has a text message there for me that you can copy and paste. I would never do that while I'm driving, but you get it's easier to dictate to your phone. And then when you come back to your ChatGPT on your computer, those messages are stored there so you can copy and paste and double check whatever you're trying to do. But the apps are really good because they also what can see. So if I'm working on a lawnmower, for example, I can take a picture of the lawnmower and it will know the model number and all that stuff. It can research what spark plugs I need to replace that information. So the apps are really easy to use. Just be careful which ones you download.
Let's see, perhaps maybe, let's see, here's one. Will Chat GPT give the travel agent information like you described, or do you have to subscribe at the $20 a month rate? So will the Chat GPT, if you ask about travel,
Yeah.
do you need to pay the $20 to find that answer?
So most of these systems will limit the only advantage of the free version is how often you can chat with it. And so if you're going to actually try to plan out a travel plan, you might get away with the free version. But if you want to continue and follow up questions about where is it located, what meal do they serve, what's the menu, every time you send a chat, it's going to use up one of those chats. And so, again, the way I look at it is if I'm going to go on a trip and I might spend a day looking through the materials and planning out my trip, or I could spend $20 and have a device help me map out what I want to do. And so that's kind of, and you actually can bounce between the different free models. So you can go to Copilot, get started, and then you can take that information to the free ChatGPT and go through. And so it depends on how creative you want to be with that.
Just so the audience knows, we'll capture these questions in case we miss answering one right now, and we can get these answers back to you. But I think
there's one that says, can this used to be to find a job?
Yes,
yeah, and
great.
absolutely. So you could upload, and it depending on what information you want out there, you can upload your resume and say, I live at this zip code. What jobs in the area would disqualify? And be specific in your prompt. Say, where are they located? What is their average salary for this position based on the resume you see? And so that can give you, if you want to be within 50 miles of your home address, you could tell it that, and it's just going to look in that area and give you some good ideas to start looking at least.
Yes, thank you so much for that one. And one said that this person said that he or she said something and Gemini heard it. So they want to know how to stop Gemini from listening.
Yeah, so usually you need to turn your I've done that by accident before. I've actually accidentally left it on and I was talking and it started answering questions. So you want to make sure you turn your app off. Make sure when it asks you permissions that you're really careful about what permissions you give it. But just beyond ChatGPT, I also assume that whatever I say around my phone might be being picked up anyway. Just a general I've unplugged Alexa from my house for that reason. I don't want to know what I'm having conversations about. Is digital eavesdropping. And so the fact that I could say that name on my phone that I'm not going to say because she'll start talking means it's listening all the time. There's a reason why you can't take your batteries out of your phone anymore. It's because they want to be able to listen to what you're saying. And so that's not unique to Gemini or any of these other tools. You just have to be aware of where your phone is.
Okay, thank you so much. And someone asked, can you use AI to create family trees like from a handwritten document?
Absolutely. One of the tools that I like using in ChatGPT is you can take a picture of the document and it would actually extract the text for you. But one of the things we got really addicted over the summer was using AI's deep research. And with deep research, again, you're limited. I have 24 deep research, even with the paid account, but I could ask it to create a family tree if I give it. I did this actually. I gave it my dad's birthday, his birthplace, where he currently lives, and I asked for his father and his grandfather. And it takes about 10 minutes, but it does a deep dive. It reads obituaries, it reads newspapers, it reads all kinds of things to bring out information. So it kind of works like Ancestry.com. I was able to track it all the way back to the 1700s when the Freeman family lived in, I think, Virginia, and then moved down to the Kinston area with some American Revolutionary money type thing. So I was able to do a deep dive on that. Again, remember that when you do deep research, it will also make some assumptions. Like my grandfather's parents died when when he was young, and it made the assumption that his stepmother raised them. But as a family, we knew that it was his mother, it was his aunt that raised him. And so it's going to make some assumptions. So again, it gives you some good details to do some research and fact check, but it's a really good tool to do something like that in creating family trees and so forth.
And so forth. Well, Lane, that's all the time we have today for questions, but we certainly appreciate you being with us and sharing this information about AI and how we can use it and benefit from it. I know it was a lot to do in a short period of time.
Yeah.
I know there's more, but this is so timely as AI becomes more popular, and we want to be ahead rather than behind this situation. So I'm impressed with all the AI can do, and we all learned a lot today. So I'm sure everyone else feels the same. But thank you so very much. Um, so, someone asked, was this recorded? Will they be able to get it? We will definitely be sending this out along with information how you can ask additional questions. We can get them to Lane or we can contact him directly. And so we'll let you know that information in our follow-up information. So don't forget to complete the survey that you will receive in the email. That will have the link to the recording as well. It's quick and easy to complete, and we need your responses back by next Monday, I think. Our next Lunch and Learn webinar entitled The Road to Medicare is scheduled for next week, September the 10th, 12:30 to 1:30. Jeannie Skepsey from SHIP, Seniors Health Insurance Information Program, will discuss the 2026 changes and pertinent information for those new to Medicare. So please join us. We already have a lot of folks registered, but you still have time until Friday to do so. On October the 15th, Amy Korb will be here offering a webinar from the American Red Cross, and she will discuss Experience Matters, how retirees are changing lives with the Red Cross. Please make sure you sign up. She'll talk about volunteer opportunities as well as sharing information about CPR hands only, which we all need to know at this point. If you would like to become a member of RGEA, if you are not already, please by all means join us. Information will be in the follow-up email, or you can go directly to the website at rgea.info/membership. You can take care of everything right there. We'd love to have you as a member if you're eligible to retire, or if you're already retired and you have not joined and you are a state or local government retiree. Thanks again for joining us. And as always, the association stands ready to assist you in your retirement. How about this? Happy Wednesday. Stay safe, everyone, and enjoy this fall weather.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.